Hello, happy Tuesday, greetings from Bali. Check this place out. This is my villa in Ubud that I've had the privilege and pleasure of staying in for the last 4 nights. If you're watching Bailey, thanks mate. This is my friend Bailey's place, he's let me stay here. So I'm here in Ubud, and tonight's Transformation Tuesday is on perspective. And if you're there, hey Mike, good to see you here, mate. Here's my villa. I'm in Ubud. This is the villa that backs onto the jungle. This is my pool. And this place is amazing. And tonight's Transformation Tuesday is on perspective. Now, I have a particularly unique perspective tonight. Great to see you, mate. I've got a particularly unique perspective because I'm in a different part of the world. I'm in a different location, different country. And so the lens through which I'm viewing my experience, my reality is different. Now, we all have our unique lens, our perspective that we're viewing life. For example, now there's some big frames, big lenses that we wear. And one of the frames that we wear is, hey Angela, how you doing? One of the frames that we wear is what is our philosophy is for the way we approach life. So this is a grand philosophy. Do we approach life like a game? Do we approach life like a dance? Or is it more like a battle or a war? So your overall perspective for how you see your life in terms of your overall philosophy, to a large extent is going to determine how you approach everything down to the little nitty-gritty tasks like cleaning your house, all the way through to starting a business or being in a relationship. So perspective is one of these really powerful, grand awarenesses. When I say awarenesses, when we have the awareness of what is our perspective, what is the major lens that we're wearing, i.e., is life a dance? Is it a game? Right? Are we playing life like it's our grand final, like it's the World Cup final, or are we playing life like it's a dress rehearsal? These are all perspectives, and these are all attitudes that we have adopted or chosen as our perspective, but we're not necessarily aware of that perspective. Hey Angela, I'm not sure what you mean there, it's hard to connect. Hey Charmaine, let us know if my signal's coming through, guys. Can you hear me okay? I'm trusting that my internet connection is okay here in Bali. Just let us know, just give us a shout out if you can hear me and see me okay, if one of you guys want to just give us a shout out. So perspective is what it's about. Perspective is where straight away we can radically hack our life by just choosing our perspective. Another perspective we can choose is things like gratitude. Thanks, John, appreciate it. Gratitude is another frame. Now, the thing about gratitude is, for a lot of people find it easy to be grateful for things that they enjoy. People find it really easy to be grateful for things that feel good, that are in alignment with what we want. Thanks, Charmaine. When stuff comes along that doesn't necessarily feel so good or isn't necessarily exactly what we want, we can then tend to find it difficult to be grateful for that. So try this on as an idea, as a concept. When we have gratitude for everything in our life, the good, the bad, the ugly, the stuff that we want, the stuff that we don't want, when we have gratitude for that, the stuff that we don't like, that transforms our experience of life, because you can't experience suffering and gratitude at the same time, right? So you're using a major frame like gratitude to collapse any suffering or any negativity around it. So powerful philosophies. This is one of the most powerful ways of being or ways of looking at your world. Another frame that you can use is wearing the perspective or wearing the lens of compassion or love or forgiveness. If you were to wear the lens of love and compassion at all times during your day, through every experience of the day, then what you're doing is you're now viewing each experience that's unfolding in front of you in a particular way, right? So again, it's almost like we have a particular selector switch, like a mode for how we want to interpret the experience around us. Now, if we are consciously now choosing to project compassion and love onto that experience, then it doesn't matter what we're observing. We could be observing World War III kicking off, we could be observing a homeless person in the street, or we could be observing a newborn baby, right? When we're observing that through the lens of compassion and love, we construct a different conscious experience. we construct a different experience simply by the perspective that we're taking into that. So I invite you to explore what is the lens that your default lens, if you like, that you wake up with every day. What's that lens? Is it a lens of gratitude? Is it a lens of appreciation? Is it a lens of this is a challenge, life is tough? Is it a lens of limited possibility? Is it a lens of infinite possibility? Hey Dave, good to see you here. So we've got to check in and say, well, what's our default perspective? Thanks, legend. What is our default lens or perspective that we are viewing our reality through? And life is going to get challenging. There are going to be times in life where we get tested to the limit. And that is the time when we want to be aware of, well, what is that lens that we are viewing our experience through? Are we viewing it through the lens of, this is too tough, this sucks, this is horrible? Or are we viewing it through the lens of, great, this is actually going to be an experience that's going to help me expand and become the greatest version of myself, because I'm going to become stronger through the evolution and through the growth of that experience. So there's so many different ways of seeing this. Now, another way that we can see moments when we get tested by others, whether it be in a relationship or in a business sense or a particular, maybe it's your employer, maybe it's your boss, maybe it's clients, when someone tests you, someone triggers you, someone evokes a particular negative experience or emotion within you, that person, you can either see them as the villain or you can see them as a hero. Now, I personally think, hey Ben, good to see you here, mate. I personally think that whenever I experience some kind of challenge or some kind of trigger in my life, I see that person who's triggered me, whether it be triggered some sort of negative emotion, I see that person as my hero, because they have just reflected back at me an area where I'm either out of alignment internally within me or externally in my environment. So if I'm experiencing some kind of negative emotion, that's on me. And it's up to me to then rectify, well, what course of action do I need to take? Because emotions are simply action signals. So if you experience what we call a negative emotion, which is an uncomfortable emotion, there's valuable data in that experience. There is valuable data and learning from that experience that's unfolding. I'll tell you how, because with every negative emotion, there is the wisdom that lies in that experience to help us move beyond that limitation, to prevent that from happening again next time. So when we fail to be present to the learnings and the wisdom that exists within that emotion, we miss out on the wisdom. So what we really got to do is we've got to take every experience that's unfolding around us and go, great, what's the learning from this? What's the empowered perspective I can take around this? Because life is going to throw us curveballs. We are going to get challenged. 100%. There's going to be stuff that triggers us. We are going to get tested. Now, you can either see that as being the victim, or you could see that as an opportunity for you to be the hero. And I personally see anything in my environment, my experience, or people around me that test me or trigger me, that is my perspective. I choose to take on the perspective of that experience being my hero. It's eliciting and supporting me to become the greatest version of myself, because it's reflecting back at me the work that I need to do on myself. So if I ever indulge in things like anger or frustration or resentment or guilt, then that's just information for me to help me become better, to avoid that experience next time. But to not actually take the learning from that experience, that's disempowering. Because if we don't take the learning from that emotional experience, it's going to repeat itself, and it's going to keep happening until we take on the learning. And that's the purpose of negative emotions. The purpose of emotions is to give us data, to give us feedback on our experience. What do we need to course correct? What do we need to adjust? What do we need to do differently? So this is a really powerful concept, and one that I recommend that everyone journals and really takes a deeper look at is all the negative emotional experiences that you're currently experiencing. There's so much data in that to help you move beyond your limitations. So again, I would recommend seeing any, what we label a negative emotional experience, which is just an uncomfortable emotional experience. See that as an opportunity to get better. See that as getting valuable feedback from your environment about what is it that we need to adjust, modify, update, realign internally within ourselves or externally in our environment or a behavior, to then avoid or transform that into a more empowering experience next time. So I think that's a really, really powerful way to approach it. And as I said before, you can either see the person in your environment who triggers you. Maybe there's someone who makes you frustrated or angry. Now, these are not resourceful emotions. These are reactionary emotions that are derived out of the program of our ego. And ultimately, if we are being triggered with these experiences, it's up to us to do the internal work to avoid that trigger experience from happening again next time. So, hey Monica, good to see you here. So that emotional experience that we are going through, it will continue to repeat itself until we get the learning, until we get the wisdom. Yeah, I'm still in Bali. I'm loving it. I'm still here till Saturday. And so that emotional experience is going to keep repeating itself. So it's up to us to take the wisdom, to take the insights from that experience and recognize, okay, great, how did I create that emotion? That's always the best question you can ever ask, is whenever you've been triggered, whenever you're going through some kind of frustration, that's the most empowering question you can ask, is how did I choose to create this? Because what it does is it gives you the perspective or the lens of, okay, I created it. No one can enter my mind and make me experience any emotion. Only I can do that. Yes, things can be present in our environment that evoke that, but ultimately how we choose to react to that or respond to that, it's our choice. So we could either choose to respond with love, gratitude, appreciation, peace, humor, laughter, or we could choose to respond with resentment, fear, frustration, anger, guilt. So there's a drop-down menu in our mind that appears, which is typically unconscious, which is, how do we want to respond to this situation? How do we want to label this situation? How do we want to approach it? But what I want to give you is, when you have the awareness, hey John, good to see you here, mate. When you have the awareness that we are actually creating our emotional experience in the moment by what we're focusing on, what we're making something mean, how we're labeling it with our own internal dialogue, as well as the perspective that we're choosing to view that experience through. Right? For example, it could be choosing to view the perspective through the lens of a victim, or the lens of this is unfortunate or this is not right, or you could view it through the lens of, great, what is there to learn from this? How can I be empowered to not make this mistake again, or how to avoid this next time? So again, this lens that you're choosing to experience your reality through, I invite you to set an intention, and this is ultimately what an intention is. A daily intention or an hourly intention or just an intention in the moment is where you're consciously choosing the frame to which you're viewing your experience. So for me, for example, and for the guys that have done my trainings, you'll be aware of when we have the concept of blessing someone. So after we've just judged someone, we've just thrown some negative energy at someone, by choosing to bless that person, it's like the antidote to, if we've just thrown some negativity towards someone, it's like, whoops, my ego just did its job then. My ego is now just diminishing or criticizing someone. I'm gonna correct that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna neutralize that, and I'm gonna actually just bless it with love. Bless that person, bless that thing with love. Now what that does is it reminds you to take on the lens and the perspective of, let's be compassionate, let's be loving, let's elevate our consciousness so that we're not diminishing, judging, or criticizing someone. So it's a lens of love and connection as opposed to a lens of fear and ego. So that's what that little process is doing. So the thing about this is, at each and every moment, we are creating a perspective by the lens that we're viewing our experience, but we're unaware of it. Most of us are. This is something that happens outside of conscious awareness. So what I invite you to do is start to ask the question, well, what perspective, what lens are you wearing in this moment? Is it like, and even right now when you're watching this Facebook Live, are you viewing this through the lens of the perspective of, how can I learn something from this? Maybe you're watching it from the perspective of, how can I apply this in my life? Maybe it's just from the lens of, how can I waste half an hour just kind of indulging in intellectual entertainment? Whatever your perspective is, you get to choose the lens through what your experience is. And I would suggest some of the more empowering perspectives or lenses that you can wear are things like love, like compassion, like learning, like empowerment. So again, how do we truly step into adjusting and modifying our perspective so that we can be the masters of our destiny, so that we can have what I call gangster emotional control over our experience of life? And I think my internet might have just dropped out then, but anyway, guys, I think you're back with me. This is the testing moments when you're broadcasting from Bali. Sometimes things don't go quite to plan, but that's okay. My lens is, everything's fine, everything's okay. It's all good. So, I'm going to keep this one nice and short and sweet for tonight, guys. But my awareness challenge for you for this week is every day set an intention. When I say intention, what is the lens or the perspective through which you're going to view most of your day through? And I recommend you have a reminder that comes up on your phone that reminds you and prompts you what your intention is for that day. I would feel into at the beginning of the day even how do you decide on what that intention is? Well, maybe decide on what's missing from your life. Maybe decide on the areas of your life that you want to upgrade. And then that intention that you actually select is going to support and facilitate your expansion and your awareness of experiencing more of what you want to experience. Gratitude for your ability to articulate awesome life lessons. Oh, thanks, Mike, mate. It's my pleasure. That's my purpose in this life. This is what I'm here to do, is to share my wisdom and help people, as is, I believe, the purpose of most people in most people's lives generally is going to revolve around contribution, growing, expanding, and making a difference. That's generally the most saucy, the most enjoyable experience that one can undertake in life, is to actually make a contribution and make a difference to someone else. So thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. So, that's my recommendation for this week, is your awareness exercise is set an intention every day and then see your reality through that lens and remind yourself of seeing it through that lens. Because for example, if you pick the lens of gratitude and you saw, literally, if you were conscious in every single moment of the day, every second from moment to moment, aware of the lens of gratitude, every word, every experience, everything that you were to witness in your whole entire reality would be viewed through the lens of gratitude, which is kind of like when you're wearing sunglasses. If you're wearing red tinted sunglasses, everything, all the light that's filtering through your eyes, it will be a shade of red. Well, the same thing goes with an intention. The same thing goes with your perspective. When you filter things through the lens of gratitude, you transform the experience, right? Now, again, this might be a challenge, right? The first few times that you try this, but it's like a skill. Once you cultivate this over and over and over again, when you set an intention, you become far more powerful, you become more consciously aware of the meaning that you're creating from your life and from the experiences. And ultimately what transpires is a greater degree of emotional mastery and emotional intelligence. So these are some powerful concepts which, when applied consistently every day, you'll notice your whole reality shifts around you. Now, the thing about it is the people around you didn't change. So what changed? Well, your perspective changed. Your lens changed. Whether you're viewing something as a victim, or whether you're choosing to be the victim or choosing to be the hero, that is going to determine your experience of reality. So I'm going to leave that one with you guys. Set yourselves a challenge this week of having an intention every single morning when you wake up. I recommend do not leave your house without an intention. I also recommend there's a few other things you shouldn't leave your house without doing. Meditation is one. Certainly having a really solid morning ritual, morning routine, including breathing, meditation, drinking lots of water, and certainly setting an intention is another really powerful step. Anyway, I'll do another Facebook Live at some point where I'm going to share with you more about my morning ritual, my evening ritual, and more about those practices, because when we turn our life into a series of rituals and practices, we start to live more consciously, because we now have set up a structure in our life to prompt us to be more consciously aware and to give us a recipe for consistency in how we approach our life. So you might be able to hear that in the background. It's just started raining. This is the jungle, right? You probably can't even see that. There's a jungle right here. It's really tropical. It's really beautiful. It's really misty. And I'm looking forward to going out into Ubud tonight and grabbing a massage and having a beautiful, healthy dinner. So that's me from Bali. I'm going to be back in Perth on Saturday. So I look forward to catching you guys back in Perth soon. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Jade, John, Monica. Thank you guys all for tuning in. And as always, love you guys. Wishing you a magical and fantastic week. I'll see you guys next Tuesday for Transformation Tuesday. Thanks again. And signing out from Bali, as you can probably hear the water and the rain just starting to bucket down. Anyway, guys, much love. See you soon. Bye.